Good night, everybody. My name is Pray for Good Games, and this is a commentary video for Blacklight Retribution. I'm going to cover a lot of different things in my commentary, including how to use the most distinctive feature of the game, HRV. I'm going to talk about my own personal playstyle with the submachine gun, and since I'm playing on Helodeck, I'm going to talk about some advice specific to that map. I'm going to talk about how I use the depots on the map, how I engage the enemy, where I engage the enemy, when I engage the enemy, and I'm going to talk about what to do when you're accused of hacking. By the way, I actually bought the paid version of Fraps to record my gameplay, but it's absolutely terrible. And only recently did I find out about MSI's Afterburner, which I highly recommend. Alright, let's get to the gameplay. Okay, so first thing I do whenever I spawn is use HRV like you just saw there. Obviously when you first start a match, the enemies are all going to be located in the same general vicinity, but after you die, you're going to respawn, and that's a good time to use HRV. A quick note about HRV. When I use HRV, I don't just turn it on, look straight, and turn it off. I don't just look forward, I look to the left, I look to the right, up, down, backwards, whatever I think is necessary depending on my map location. And in this case, I turn it on, think that I might be vulnerable to a flank to my right, and sure enough, I'm correct. And that's how I get to kill this enemy. Next up, I'm going to go up a set of stairs, hesitate, not quite sure, turn on HRV. Why? To check for landmines. On this map, it's pretty common for people to place landmines at the top of those stairs. And here, you're going to see my really sad aiming skills. And once again, really sad aiming skills. That guy got way too close before I was able to kill him. But you know what? I still get decent scores, and you can be pretty successful at this game without having stellar aiming skills. Although, okay, so here I just get lucky and run into two people who are completely unprepared. Now I'm going to run over to the depot and refill on my grenades and refill my health. Even though I wasn't low on HP or anything, I have enough CP, I have some downtime, I might as well buy ammo, buy health. At this point, I'm feeling a little bit idle, so I run over to a spot of the map where I know it's a pretty common spawn location, so that's why I'm just lobbing grenades down here. And just generally speaking, it's good to know where on a map you can lob grenades and just get random kills. Alright, so not much happening, but I'm using HRV frequently. And I think that's a big problem that a lot of newbies have, is they don't realize that they should be using it as frequently as possible to locate enemies. And the best way to do that is to use HRV in really short bursts. Now just there, I heard that guy running up the stairs, and it's important to note that I actually use 5.1 surround sound speakers. They help a whole lot. A quick note about... Did I just hit my desk? A quick note about the submachine gun. When you're using submachine gun, you're generally getting really close to your enemies, and you have to remember, if you run out of ammo in the middle of these fights, just butt them in the head using your melee attack. Hit the F key. Finish them off. After clearing the area of enemies, I think I feel a little safe enough to go to the depot, refill my grenades, and refill my health, even though I was only missing 7 HP. Now, one thing that I want to point out, this video is running in 30 frames per second, but when I'm playing the game, it's running at over 60 frames per second. Now, what that means is when you're watching this video and you see me do an HRV scan, it's going to look a lot more jittery than when I'm actually playing. When I'm actually playing, it looks smoother, and it's a lot easier for my eyes to track all the different enemies running around when I go into HRV mode. Now here, what you're seeing is really bad decision making, My health is really low now because I just tried to shoot some guys from afar using a submachine gun, which is kind of a no-no. Submachine guns have really poor damage at longer ranges, whereas what you just saw, I was able to kill people pretty easily in close range. Now I'm low on HP, so I jump all the way from the top of the stairs down to this nearby depot. It's worth the fall damage, because really, you don't incur that much damage by falling. Now I just threw a random grenade because it's very common for people to hang out at that other depot. You saw that guy when I turned on my HRV was crouching, and he's the guy who ended up getting killed by my preemptive grenade. Basically, that guy was killed off a hunch, and I want to stress the importance of hunches and anticipation, really. In a lot of these first-person shooter games, you get to know the map better the more you play. And part of getting to know the map is not just the location of things like depots, but also where are enemies going to camp? Where are enemies going to try to flank you? How are they going to approach you and run around you and attack you from various angles? Now here you're going to see some really poor decision making. I was low on HP, and yet I still decided to engage in combat with these two enemies at the same time. I was in an area with a whole lot of cover, so I should have just made a run for it to the nearest depot and heal up. At this point I'm being accused of hacking, but we'll see what comes of that later. For now, let me just re-emphasize the importance of using HRV as often as possible, and also, when you get badly wounded like I am right now, try to heal up as soon as possible. Once again, I'm about to engage in combat with two enemies at once. This time, it was a little faster pace, so I didn't have as much time to think, but ideally, I would not have engaged the second enemy after successfully killing the first one. Even though my survival can't be guaranteed, it still probably would have been better for me to retreat at that point. Now here I address the guy who's accusing me of hacking. And as it turns out, all I had to do was tell him that I'm using MSI Afterburner and that I plan on uploading my gameplay to YouTube. So there you have it. If you hate dealing with people who accuse you of hacking, just get yourself MSI Afterburner, go into the settings and set the shortcut key that starts and stops video recording. And then next time around, when you get accused of hacking, start up the recording process and later on upload to YouTube and tell that guy to suck it. Or maybe the guy accusing you of hacking will immediately recognize what MSI Afterburner is and won't bother you anymore. Let me just rewind for a second and point something out real quick. I just spawned, used HRV, saw some guy, and if you notice, I actually did something called pre-fire. After the enemy ran for cover, I stopped shooting briefly, but then I started shooting again before I actually saw him on my screen, and this is called pre-fire. That way you know that when he does show up on your screen, your gun is already shooting and it's already hitting him. By the way, I have a tendency to try to heal myself whenever I kill somebody, even when it turns out that I took no damage. It's just kind of a habit that's probably good to have, really. It helps you more than it hurts you. So remember, whenever you can, whenever you feel safe, which is generally right after killing an enemy, go after a depot and try to heal yourself. From this point on, I start playing like an idiot, really. I just start trying to use the flamethrower as much as possible, and it doesn't work out that well. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes to talk about something that you really haven't seen that much in this video, which is teamwork. In this particular match, I feel confident enough to just kind of run around on my own and killing as many people as possible. That said, I always try to keep in mind what my teammates are doing in a way that helps both me and the rest of my team. And what I mean by that is, as you probably know, situational awareness is key in any first-person shooter. And in Blacklight, it's really no different. It's good to know where your teammates are and what direction they're going. That way you know which flanking routes are covered and where you need to focus your HRV. Okay, one last instant replay here. You'll see me throw a grenade down an empty hallway, which seems kind of random, but actually it's a hallway that's often populated with enemies, and you'll see just now I've apparently eliminated an enemy. Because I use a loadout that has 2 grenades, I kind of just always have this feeling that I may as well use them before I die. Problem is, sometimes I'm just not as safe as I think I am. Alright, so there you have it, my first commentary video for Blacklight. Please let me know in the comments what you think. And keep watching if you want a little bit more detail about HRV. A big piece of advice I have regarding HRV is to go into your settings and change HRV toggle to disabled. I think the best way to use HRV is by just tapping the HRV button, and you'll get that quick burst. You'll know where the enemies are. You sweep your vision so you can get a good wide field of radar, if you will. The wrong way to use HRV is to just leave it on for extended periods of time. I mean, it's tempting because that way you can watch your enemy's movements, but it's better to just use it quickly like radar rather than to use it in long bursts like some sort of surveillance. By using HRV for extended periods of time, you drain the HRV meter more, which makes it more difficult to activate your HRV frequently.